everybody. Let's do this. Here we go! Come on, everybody. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey. That's me. Follow my lead.
Hello Musketeers and welcome to Money's with Mickey. My name is Mike Kniggy and I'm your host, and this week we're going to do a review on Doctor Strange. Marvel's Doctor Strange to be specific. This will have a lot of spoilers in it, so if it's something that you haven't seen yet, I recommend you go ahead and call it quits for this week, and next week we'll have something not Mickey related, but Scouts related. But if you have seen it, or you don't really care about spoilers, continue on. I'll give you a second. Oh, you're still here. Sweet. Alright, well, let's talk some Doctor Strange. Now, Doctor Strange is one of those properties that I wasn't super familiar with. I knew who he was. I shouldn't say super familiar with. I didn't know a lot about. I was very familiar with who he was, but I'd never read any of the comics or anything like that. I knew him mostly through references in the comics I did read, and through, I used to collect the Marvel cards, so I knew of the character reading his bio on the back of his card. So I didn't know a lot about him, so I wasn't super jazzed about the movie. I was excited that Benedict Cumberbatch was going to be coming into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so I was looking forward to that, and I thought that he looked dead on for Doctor Strange, but I didn't know a lot about it, and so I did know that he was going to play an important role in the Cinematic Universe. I knew that he was going to be involved with the Infinity Gauntlet and for the next phase of Marvel movies, so I did want to see it because I wanted to stay up to speed on what was going on in this whole universe, because all these Marvel movies interlace and interlock, so I wanted to make sure I wasn't missing a piece of the puzzle. But I figured I'd at least rent it or something like that. Well, enter Disney Movie Club, and they came up and they said, hey look, it's available. They quoted a price that wasn't horrible, and you got a free lithograph to come with it. So I was like, you know what? Alright, let's let it come on in. I'm collecting all the other Marvel movies anyway, why not? We'll bring it in. So, walking into this, I was not super excited. I was looking forward to seeing it, but it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I have to see this now. So, fast forward to watching this movie. Now, like I said last week, technically Moana came in first. I'm sorry, Moana came in second. Sorry, my family was walking in the door while I was doing this. Technically, Moana came in after Doctor Strange, and I did do Moana's review first, only because it was fresh in my mind and I wanted to do it right away. But, Doctor Strange came in, and we sat down and watched it as a family. And you know what? I have to say, I was extremely surprised about Doctor Strange. It was far better than I even remotely had hoped, and I really enjoyed it. So, let me give you a little synopsis of what the storyline's about. Doctor Strange, it follows the story of Dr. Stephen Strange. A normal, everyday guy, very, very conceited, very much like Tony Stark. And he thinks the world was developed for him. I mean, he is an egotistical little snot. But he's a genius. But he's a medical genius as opposed to a tech genius like Tony Stark. He's pretty much like the go-to surgeon. If you've ever seen the TV show House, he's like House. He does all the really tough projects, the ones that no one can solve. In fact, they even tease in the movie when he's looking for his next project. They describe War Machine the character who's inside the suit, War Machine, describe his injuries and how he got them. They never say his name, but it's very clear that they called him to see if he would help with War Machine, and he felt that the injuries were beneath him. So, to give you an idea of what this guy's mentality is, real jerk. So anyway, on his way to a benefit, he's listening. He's talking to a guy over the phone about what jobs he might do next, or which cases he might get involved in next. And he looks down to look at an MRI, I believe, or a CAT scan, something of that nature. And it's raining while he's driving his sports car, and he loses control of the car and wrecks. And the injuries he sustains, he's lucky to have survived, but the injuries he sustains, a good chunk of them are to his hands, which has basically destroyed his motor control. Which, as a surgeon, you have to have your motor control in your hands. You have to have that fine, detailed work. Ability to work. So he starts searching for ways to fix his problems. Different surgeries, coming up with different programs, ways to fixing himself. And nobody will do the work that he is suggesting because they all feel it's impossible. Now, he knows it's possible as a surgeon, but no one is willing to take the risk. So, he's searching for ways to heal himself, and he finds out about this person who had, like, complete paralysis and made a full recovery. And he wants to know how that happened. Well, he seeks out the guy, and he convinces the guy to tell him where he got healed. And, across the sea, he suggested this place, basically this monastery that taught him how to heal himself. So he goes out there seeking to be healed. He arrives, goes through this whole hoopla of even getting seen, and then once he's seen, he kind of gets rejected, and finally, through his persistence, they let him in. And they let him in to teach him their ways. Now, they do like a mystical arts kind of situation. And this is one of the things I really like about Doctor Strange, is that his abilities don't come from some mutation, some medical oops, or through some mystical, I'm a god kind of thing. This comes through mystical arts. I say mystical arts, but it comes through almost a religion that we see in real life today. Now, I'm not saying that people have the abilities that he has in real life, but as far as other religions that fall under the category of pagan religions, be it Buddhism, be it, Wicca, things like that, that kind of touches on what his character is. His character is essentially what one would call a mage or a wizard or shaman. His character learns to become that. He uses magic and uses energy to manipulate the world as he sees it. So he doesn't have these powers like he got injected with a serum or got bitten by a spider. He's not a mutant. He's a normal, everyday guy who's learned these abilities, originally intending to learn these abilities to heal himself, but in the end, he becomes something much greater. And through this training process, this movie essentially is his backstory and how he learns these abilities. And the reason he was such a great doctor was that he has a photographic memory. So anything he sees, he remembers. So, whereas it takes years and years and years of training and practice and learning for some of these people who are doing what he's doing, he skyrockets to the top because all he has to do is read a book and boom, he can reference it immediately in his brain. So he acquires these abilities, fights the main bad guy who's essentially trying to get revenge against his main teacher, ending in this big climactic battle in the middle of the city, saving the world. He ends up tricking this being from another universe that was coming to consume the world, who lived outside of time, and he learned a spell that allowed him to create a loop in time. And he uses that against this creature that's never experienced time. So, he wins the day and everybody's happy. But throughout this whole process, there's like Easter eggs to the other movies. The pendant he carries around on his chest has an infinity stone in it. Which means, obviously, if he has this pendant, he has this infinity stone that he's acquired. obviously he's going to have to be an Infinity Gauntlet because you need all the Infinity Stones for that gauntlet. So we get to see him against Thanos, which would be kind of cool. There's another major character that goes hand in hand with Doctor Strange, and that character is his cloak. His cloak has a personality, and it is very finicky and picky about who it chooses. And they call it an artifact, and this mystical artifact chose him. Kind of like the wand chooses the wizard, but in this case it's a cloak. And the cloak is very ornery. It's a character unto itself. It's really hard to explain, but it can move, it can do its own thing. And you know, it's funny to see when the two of them don't agree necessarily on what he's going to do, what the cloak decides to do to get its way. So all around, this is a great movie. I think it's a fantastic addition to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm really glad I got a chance to see this. I'm actually inspired to go back and read the comics to see what he's like in the comics, because Benedict did a fantastic job playing this character, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him in the next movies. So if you've seen this movie, comment below, tell me what you thought of it. If you haven't seen it, I really recommend you go out and check it out. At least check it out. Rent it, you know, borrow it, whatever. You don't have to do what I did. You don't have to buy it. But I'd recommend going out and checking it out, because, you know, it is really well worth the time. And again, I love the fact that this is a human being. This is not some, you know, mutated, you know, radioactive steroided up character. He's a normal human being who has learned to become something greater than him, you know, than a normal human being, greater than himself. So, and the fact that he, you know, through these abilities he's learned, he's finding a way to make a difference in the world in another way. You know, he was a brilliant surgeon. Now he is brilliant at this and can help the world in his own way. I will say this, like all the Marvel movies recently, stay all the way to the end of the credits, okay? Not only is there a cool little cutscene at the end of the movie, right as the credits start, but there's another one at the very end. And it helps tie in, you know, Doctor Strange to everything. And I'm just going to say, spoiler alert, him talking to Thor, one of the more funny things I've seen in a while. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope, you know, it inspires you to go out and check out Doctor Strange. For those of you who are kind of like, why is he talking about a Marvel movie? Well, this is a Disney thing. Well, newsflash, Marvel owns Disney. I'm sorry, Disney owns Marvel, along with owning Lucasfilm and, you know, Pixar, etc., etc., etc. So, Marvel is Disney. It counts. So, again, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I really hope it inspires you to go out and check out Doctor Strange, because in my opinion, it's almost like a secret gem in the Marvel Universe so far. It's very well done, and I've truly, truly enjoyed it. Next week, we are going to take you on a trip back in time. No, we're not going to talk Back to the Future. We are going to be talking about a reenactment of a Revolutionary War battle here in my hometown, the Battle of Guilford Courthouse. So check us out next week. I know it's not Disney related, but like I said, you know, when I brought this back last week, this channel is going to be primarily about Disney, yes. But I want you guys to share along with our adventures, the things we do as a family. Because, you know what, we need some positivity in this world. And I think, you know, seeing some of the exciting, you know, I would like to share some of the exciting things we do as a family. And, you know, hopefully inspire you to do similar things with your families. So come check us out next week. It'll be a scouting trip to the Battle of Guilford Courthouse. And I'll leave you as I leave you every week. Walt said it best. I hope we never lose sight of one thing. This was all started by a mouse. Thank you so much for watching yet again, and we'll see you next week.